Welcome to Psychologie of Home. My guest today is Kim, who just graduated from Psychologie of Home Design School. It's been about a month, so we're checking in with her. So thanks for being here.
My pleasure.
So let's take a step way back, things that we didn't really talk about in design school. And let's talk about your relationship to home. Like at the earliest age you can think of where you were like, I really like home spaces. I really am seeing what can be done with them. Or just maybe it wasn't even as a child, maybe it was later, but when that kind of solidified for you that I have a real keen interest, maybe not necessarily as a vocation or as a job, but there's like, I understand that this is important and I like to manipulate it.
I do have actually a really distinct memory. I don't remember exactly how old I was, but somewhere late elementary, middle school, maybe. We had moved around a lot when I was young. Lots. I think I lived in maybe 7 different homes by the time I finished 7th grade.
Wow.
And it was a lot of movement. And I remember this point when we moved into the home that I ended up then finishing middle school and staying in through all of high school, finally feeling, I remember looking around one day and just thinking, like I'm here. This is my place. I knew that we were going to be staying put for a bit, and it just had this deep sense of rootedness, of place, of peace with my space that I hadn't felt in any of the other places I had lived. And I do think that did something. It connected me to that particular home, and gave me a sense of I can connect here in this place differently than I've connected anywhere else, both in the home as well as, socially with friends and things like that too. But it was a moment, and it was important.
I love that you remember it from that early age, that you knew that it just felt differently, because it really is more of like, when you say rootedness, that is more of a sense of feeling, a sense of peace, not so much like, you didn't even mention what the house looked like. That wasn't necessarily the point. It was that, you have this home now, whereas before it probably felt like, it was just another, box that you lived in, and it'll be, temporary, and you'll, so why get connected to it? In many ways you probably felt like you were in limbo, like I can't put down roots. And, once you could, it felt energetically different.
Absolutely. And it was cool that it was a moment that has stayed in my memory. I actually haven't thought about it for a long time until you asked the question.
Yeah.
But when you asked, that was what instantly came to mind, which is pretty cool.
I had a little bit of a similar experience. I think I lived in even more houses than you. We had, I think, 12 or 13 by the time I graduated from high school. And what that did for me was I had no control. It felt out of control. I had no control. And so what I did control was my room. So I felt like this is the one place that I can manipulate and edit and make the same. And I kind of just kept repeating the room over and over, almost like the same, because it was the same bed, the same desk and chair. So it was like I could take that and transport it to the new place. And that gave me a sense of like belonging. And so it's just so interesting how people that do what we do, interior design, really have that awareness early on. We know that how impactful that is to our well-being.
Absolutely.
Because it's, physical and mental well-being.
Totally. Well, and I love the fact that you use the word belonging, because that has become, as I've started to go down this road and this endeavor of interior design, that's been a key. That sense of, how do I help the people that I'm working with develop a sense of belonging in the space that they're occupying?
Yeah. Has that manifested yet? Or are you working on getting clients, or are you kind of like preparing for what that experience will be like if they hire you?
Well, it actually, evolved kind of organically. I used to work in higher education, so I worked for several different universities, and I always worked in the student housing realm. And because the residence halls, the dormitories, are where students lived, it was their home for the time that they were in college. And I had the opportunity, again, just kind of stumbled upon it to get to participate in the design of a new residence hall build that was happening. Because I oversaw the space, I oversaw the staff that lived there and the programming that would occur there. I was invited in to work with the architect and ended up doing some of the design, even though I had zero experience or background, just based on what do students need? How are students going to feel a sense of belonging here as they come here? And many of them stay for 4 years. This is truly their home away from home.
Yeah.
And that one experience of working, designing that residence hall, and then seeing the students move in and seeing how it truly impacted them, it kind of blew my mind. It was so exciting to me that what we did, the decisions we made in the physical space, had this direct one-for-one result in how the students engaged with each other, how they developed their own sense of community, and how they experienced belonging, not only to the dorm community, but to the overall, the greater residence population of the university and the university as a whole.
Yeah.
And that really was what sparked my interest. It was having that experience and then watching it come to life. It felt like magic. And I knew there was something there. I actually later went on and did my doctoral studies, and I decided for my dissertation research, that's what I wanted to study.
Really?
Was the influence of the built design on college students' sense of belonging to the university. And so that's what I researched for my dissertation. And
so cool.
Yeah, it was so cool to get to then dig into the research around that area. And it's a pretty under-researched area. It's fairly new. It hasn't been studied much. But it was fascinating and just got me hooked.
Yeah. It's amazing how little work has actually been done on what home means, what place means. And the entire industry, interior design, architecture, general contracting, building, we really focus on the space itself as what we show in magazines and talk about on Instagram, and which is actually why I created the Instagram account for Psychology of Homes. I'm like, why aren't we talking about what these places feel like and how we're experiencing them and that sense of belonging? And because we spend all of our time in there, we don't, we don't live outside, our homes. We live inside our homes. So
they impact us.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
They really do, which is why I feel like the work we do is really important. I mean, I think it's critical to our overall mental health and well-being.
Absolutely.
I mean, I know it is for myself.
Yeah.
And even, you'll find as you start working with clients, even though they haven't paid attention to this part of their life, it's not like they're like, oh, I've just been busy, for the last 20 years. And I just never really did our house. They talk about it with great shame and embarrassment. And I can't believe I'm not good at making my own. I can't make a home for myself. Like, how embarrassing. I'm like, A, I'm glad you can't, because I need a job that I love. And you're good at what you're good at. I couldn't do your job either, and what's most important is that you acknowledge its importance and you do something about it. You can't stay in a state of limbo. This is not good for anybody, and so once you give them that gift, they're just like, how did we go all those years without paying attention to our home, our poor kids? And it's true. It's like the kids are one of the reasons that the parents feel so good about it, because they really haven't provided a home that their kids are proud of.
It's a gift to their kids.
It is. Yeah. And they feel it, the parents feel it. But I love hearing about the kids' reaction, because it's all of a sudden we're the hub of the neighborhood now. Everyone wants to come to our house, and that's such a great feeling. Yeah. So yeah, it is important work. And, it's not, I also like that there's not a lot of crisis in interior
Yes.
design.
Yes.
We all can have crisis in our lives, but I'm glad it doesn't take place at work. So,
Yes.
maybe the sectional is delayed and the final installation for the family room is going to be pushed out a couple of weeks, but it's a bummer, but it's not a life threatening. It's not a crisis,
Well, and that's part of what I'm so excited about launching into this new area. Being a university administrator, really on the student end of things, I loved it deeply, and it was stressful.
Yeah.
Because I cared a ton about the students, about their experience, and that went with me everywhere. I'd come home and I was carrying that care and that ache of the things that were happening, and it just sucked my energy, my life, and became a bit more than I think I was able to keep going with. And so to step into something that is interestingly still kind of connected. I mean, my new passion for this grew out of that work, a piece of that work, but now to continue to take it forward in this totally new way, I'm so excited, and to have it be more of the fun stuff and not so much the stressful, really heavy stuff. I'm really excited for that.
But that heavy stuff and that more stressful career that you've had a lot of experience with, it will be, just like you've said, brought into this. Without that experience, I think it'd be way harder to jump into interior design fresh out of college at age 23 or 24. You get your design degree. You haven't had the life experience yet. You haven't really paid for anything yet, so it's really, really, I think, more challenging the younger you are. And I love a job that actually is more beneficial for us with more mature faces. I mean, you're not as old as I am by any stretch, but it actually, because my daughter's an interior designer too, it's been more challenging for her to get the clients. She has a very young face, and there's a lot of money being exchanged, and someone with my face is like, sure, you've probably been doing this for 30 years, and I didn't tell him any differently. I just kept my mouth shut. Even with that first kitchen remodel I did, I didn't tell her this is my very first kitchen. I just was, very quiet on the walkthroughs, and then just did a lot of Googling, how do you do this job? What's a rough-in mean? What's, all that. So what are you most looking forward to as you think about this career? Like imagine, give us what a year from now looks like.
Oof.
In your wildest dreams, which you're going to make a reality.
Yeah, I am. Thanks to design school, truly, it really gave me the courage, I think, to dream, to be excited. Before it was just kind of this, maybe sort of someday I could do this.
You'll figure it out.
I'll figure it out. I don't know, but I hope. And now I'm just like, man, I can do this, and I'm excited, and I can confidently say it's going to happen. And I just have nothing but excitement. What I would love to do is really connected back to the origin story of where it all began. I want to work with companies, with organizations that are people-centered, that are social in nature, and help them look at their spaces, help them consider how the environment that they're operating their business out of influences what their goals are, what they're trying to do. All the research and nonprofit work and all of that talks about you have to be able to fulfill your mission. And a lot of places just ignore the space, their environments that they're in, and they try to look at all these other ways to fulfill their mission. And while that's all good, you need to look at all of those things. Let's not forget the spaces that we're inhabiting and how important that is. And so I want to work with organizations to say, what do you need? What's your goal? What's your end goal? How could you most successfully accomplish whatever it is you want to do? And then to be able to look around at where they're trying to make that happen and make that space support that mission, help that space kind of give them wings to really fulfill their goals. So if it was with a university again, to be able to say, okay, is your goal to help students feel a sense of home in the residence hall. Let me get out those residence halls and do that. Is it, a coffee shop that wants to feel really cozy and have a particular, end goal more than just selling coffee? Let me come in and help you design that space that will really then empower you to fulfill your goal and to reach your dreams. That's what I get so excited about.
I love it. Healthcare, medical facilities.
Oh man.
It blows me away.
Yeah.
Last time I had just an annual exam, I was seeing a new doctor and I hadn't been to this clinic before, and she was running like maybe half hour late. And I said, it's totally fine that you're running late. It's like not a big deal, but hanging out in your lobby there, like it's so like unwelcoming. She's like, ugh, this whole place sucks. Like, it's like, look at this room. Yeah. She's like, we need you. Like, yeah. It's just like, who would ever feel calm and at home here? Or even just, you're here for like, some people are here in that waiting room with a very serious procedure they're about to do, or some really serious news, so it's like this one place where everyone's a little bit stressed out.
Yes.
And it just feels terrible. Yeah. Like it just feels like hard chairs and there's so.
Well, and the research out there, that's the fun thing is I did the research, right? And the research shows that in the healthcare world, having a space that is comfortable, that you can walk in when you're already nervous, you're on edge, nobody wants to be there.
Yeah.
When you walk in and you can sit down and it's comfortable and the colors are calming, you can take a deep breath. You can feel
it's
a little
comforting.
bit more. Yes. That some of that tension and that fear can melt. And similarly, one of the areas in my interim period between higher ed and kind of launching this new career, I've been a substitute teacher in middle schools. Oh my goodness. The stress of a middle school environment.
It's crazy.
It's crazy. I love it. It's actually, the chaos is so much fun. But the spaces themselves are so not supportive to these teachers that are just pouring their hearts and souls out to try to educate these high energy, this kind of
hormone
circus,
charged,
all of it that's going on with these kids. And it is so hard on these teachers. And I look around, the teachers' lounges are like half storage rooms and drab colors and old crappy furniture. And even the bathrooms where the teachers, they get a precious 3 or 4 minutes between classes. They could run to a bathroom and just feel a sense of, okay, I can breathe. If it was pretty, if it was a soothing place, because it's a room, it's a place outside of the classroom. There's nobody around. Yeah, they could use it to kind of reset.
I was going to say it's the reset space.
And yet it's awful. And so that's actually one of my first projects. I'm already working on a teacher's lounge for middle school. And
amazing.
I'm so excited because I know the impact it will have. And it just gets me so excited to not only give back to these teachers that are giving so much, but to just make a space what it should be, which is a place of peace and rest for people who are working so hard.
Yeah. I did a commercial project pretty recently. And when I was interviewing the staff and everyone that was going to be working there or needing a desk or a workspace there, they had gone through COVID and everybody had been working from home, and it really wasn't doing very well for productivity to have people working from home. And so they decided to create their world headquarters, and they hired me to create, I think we had about 18 people were going to have workstations. Yeah. And when I was meeting with everybody to be like, what do you want for your workstation kind of thing? They're like, I've been working from my house in a really comfortable chair by the fireplace with my legs stretched out like this and my laptop here. Yeah. I'm not super excited about a cubicle and just sitting there and not moving around, because I can
on a desk chair.
Yeah. And if I get uncomfortable in my chair by the fire, I might go sit on a bar stool and have a snack in the kitchen. I don't sit in one place anymore. I mean, a lot of them are like, I don't even really care if I have a desk, I just work from. And so we did it completely different than your average, just like 18-person office. For one thing, they weren't going to have, they wanted maybe just like a little kitchenette wall. And I'm like, why don't we just have like a kitchen, like an actual kitchen with a big, huge island, and have like instead of a breakfast nook, we'll have like a big banquette and
Yes.
all these multiple places and every single room, because they did some shared offices, shared workspaces, I would put a sofa in there if you want to hang out on the sofa and work from the sofa. Because during COVID, we learned that, work can be, you kind of be on the move a little, and it doesn't all have to be so restricted and just like soul sucking.
Yes.
So, and we also used just regular furniture that you would see in a person's home or like in a hotel lobby or something that I didn't, except for the office chairs, which they wanted to be like super ergonomic and comfortable and all that kind of stuff. That's really the only true office furniture that we selected, but I loved how it came out. We used homey colors. We used a lot of leather and textiles and Pendleton rugs as wall hangings.
Ooh.
And so
you're giving me ideas for the teacher's lounge. That's great.
No, Pendleton, you know what they have? The Pendleton rugs makes a crib version, like a child version, which is the perfect size for a wall hanging. And you can pick, like, if you have like a long hallway or something, you can pick like 5 or 6 and run them, together, like, and they look amazing. I mean, their colors are, but I think they're like $80 a piece. So, and I found these little clips on Etsy that were like made of leather. So that's how I mounted them on the wall, and super cheap, because we were a little budget challenged when it came to we're not getting like investment art for someone's place of business.
Totally.
So, but it's been great just hearing the feedback, how you really can bring home into a commercial space, and then everyone feels more comfortable. And guess what? People want to show up for work now, and they're sitting in the kitchen working, having a snack. 2 people are sitting in the little, so.
Well, and that's all related back to, there's this whole branch of design that's trauma-informed design. And I got to dig into it a little bit with my research, not too much, but that's really where you're looking at, what are the colors that are soothing? What's the furniture that's going to bring comfort to a person who is truly has been in trauma, is trying to kind of recover from that, or even, people who have been working from home. I mean, COVID was trauma, and they're trying to then readapt their professional life back to their workspace, or a school where teachers have been doing this crazy trauma of online learning. They're trying to get back into the classroom. The kids are trying to figure out how to be in a school building again and, have some structure. I mean, all of that is, I feel like trauma-informed design plays into almost every sphere right now that we're working in outside of the home. And I want to bring a piece of that into the projects that I work in, because it's brilliant. It's so thoughtful and really has a lot of intentionality for the purpose of healing and soothing and calming, which is great.
Yeah, I love that you have this very unique approach. And again, just using what you've learned in the past and and all the research that you've done, and you've just really got this very niche plan. And I think those are the most interesting and the ones that get the most fully realized. You're kind of not like, everything's available to me, I could do anything. I love that you're just fine-tuning it and kind of going with what you already know and what you're interested in. And, within that, you will find a whole new world expanding. So like right now, it might be kind of like, this is what I'm going to do, but you'll learn all these other things that will lead to, and these opportunities will present themselves, and it'll just become what now, is wonderful. And it's what's going to get you, launched. But then it's going to just grow and morph into something so interesting, and you'll just find yourself. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if TED Talks in your future, talking about this topic. And it is new. I mean, if you Google Psychology of Home, the right spelling, not the one that I do, because I'm not a real psychologist, hardly anything comes up. I mean, it's really
environmental behaviorism is one of the terms out there, but there's not a lot out there with it. It's a pretty new area. And then a lot of folks like what I was, we knew more of the theory. We didn't have the practice.
Right.
That's where you came in. You gave me the practical skills. Oh my goodness. That was why design school was so amazing. It was exactly what I needed. I had been for the last 3 years telling myself, I've got to get the skills. I got to get my hands on the nuts and bolts of design and how this works. I know the theory. I know all of that, but how do I kind of structure it And then along came Cami Gray and Psychology of Home. It was perfect.
Well, I just created the school that I wanted 12 years ago.
Yeah.
Because it just doesn't exist. And interior design is a little bit odd in that, and I think I mentioned this during school, that there's a little bit of ego. Well, there's a lot of bit of ego. There's a lot of ego in this. And there's a lot of competition. There's a lot of that feeling of scarcity. And it's all bullshit. Like, it doesn't exist. There are 1,000 interior designers in the greater Portland area. I don't know who any of them are, except for you now and Jessica, who I just interviewed. But it doesn't matter. There was room for me.
Yeah.
I just said, no, I'm here and I'm going to go for this and I'm going to find my clients and they're going to find me. Yeah. And we matched up and almost immediately, but I had to get through it by hook or by crook.
Yeah.
I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't. And it's just so odd to me that there's no information on this. The information in my school is not out there. How do interior designers make money? What are our revenue streams? How do we price out our services? It's just like, you can go get a certificate program. You can go to a 4-year interior design school. You won't know how to run your own interior design business. Yes. You can go work for someone else.
Yeah.
At a big firm, but they're going to get all the money. They're going to get all the creative and they're going to get all the control. Yeah. And so
it's like it's some big secret.
The very three things you want.
Yeah. And why should that all be a secret? Yeah. Right. Like, and I love that you're not doing this whole, I have the secret and then, come and I will be the only one. But no, you're just sharing it so freely and so openly, which that was mind-boggling. I had no idea prior to coming to design
school. You wouldn't know.
I mean,
that's what's so
any
nuts.
of that business side of it worked.
Yeah.
And now I feel ready and prepared. I know what I'm stepping into, and it was so helpful.
Well, and I've always loved entrepreneurship. I've had my own thing for 34 years. It's way too late for me to get a real job. And and so it was the love of small business, the love of entrepreneurship, and then over the last 12 years, the love of this, through the vehicle of interior design. It's just too good not to share for someone like you that just has it, that just knows the importance of it. And your confidence, I could tell from day 1 to day 6, all of you. I mean, it went from quiet, timid, all the things. Yeah. To just like, I couldn't get you guys to shut up. And, it was just like so fun watching the confidence soar. And, that's really when I'm on these Zoom calls, because I do an intro Zoom call. You did one with me for every prospective student, which is amazing. Absolutely crazy and also awesome. It's cool because when you're all here on, day 1 tomorrow, I've seen all these students before. So awesome. It's really, I just wanted to share it. I just really wanted to share it. And the only people that have been angry with Psychology of Home Design School are other designers. Because again, it's like,
it's so ridiculous. And because you want to share it, and that's your heart, and your heart comes through so clearly, even in this idea, which I think all of us as aspiring designers needed to hear, that don't worry about the competition. Just do your thing. Find your lane. Yeah. It's not even a competition because it's not you against everybody else. It's just you doing you.
It's just you and your clients.
Freeing. Yeah. What a great message. And I think anybody who might be hating on you is they're feeling the competition. They want to, rip and claw and be the top. Yeah. Well, screw that. Like, that's not what it's about. And I love that that's your messaging. I think you gave us all this gift of just a deep breath and this freeing sense of there's space for all of us.
Yeah.
We can all do this and we don't need to worry about
not at all
competition or anybody else. Forget it if somebody else wants to hate on us for whatever. Like, we're doing our thing. Like that, keep that message going. That's such a gift.
Well, the thing is, like, if you got hired for something and I got hired for something, we're going to execute completely different. Yeah. But what I love about this industry, this business, is neither are wrong. They're just different.
Yeah.
They're just different. Good. And our clients are going to find us. They're going to see our online portfolio. Yeah. They're going to resonate with us. Maybe they were at a job that you executed. Maybe they were at that commercial space that I did. And they're like, who did this? Mm-hmm. This is an office? My God. I didn't know you could like have all this like, homey, comforting, awesome furniture in an office place. I'm like, why not? And I think I'm a rule breaker. There's no doubt I've been like that my whole life and just bucking the system. And I think this system needed to be kind of turned on its head.
Absolutely.
I worked for an interior designer when I was 26, and it was just that same thing, just competition and ego and, who's on the cover of this magazine. I don't care at all about being on the cover of a magazine. It doesn't bring me my clients. My clients aren't reading Architectural Digest. They're looking at websites to see what their, new home can look like. And they're finding
on Instagram.
Yeah, they're on Instagram. They're, so we got to go where they are.
Totally.
So, what is your greatest challenge right now?
Absolute current moment today, I'm still trying to build my portfolio. But I know that I've got it. Like I've already got a list of projects that I've done. It's just a matter of photographing them. I think my biggest challenge is the area that I want to work in. I really want to work in, I would dare say even social services, like industries that work with people, that provide service and care. And a lot of those industries, they don't have a ton of resource. They're not, super well off financially. And I get that. I've always worked, the universities I worked for were always small universities that always, weren't super highly resourced.
Yeah, not well funded.
Yeah. And so as I think ahead about how do I build my business, how do I, charge what I need to charge. You taught us some just great lessons, and even what we're worth, what our time is worth. I want to be able to do that and do it well, while also being mindful of, again, if I'm going to help this organization reach their end goal, then I want to help them reach their end goal. And that means financially, I need to be sensitive to what their financial boundaries are. So that's something that I don't really know what I'm going to step into, except like this one public school I'm working on, the Teacher's Lounge, zero money. And so I've talked to the PTA and I've said, okay, can we try to
I was going to say fundraising.
Fundraising. So we're going to do some fundraising. It's going to be creative and interesting, but we're going to try to get funds in that way, because you know what? Those teachers deserve it. And at the end of the day, that's my goal. Yeah. So that feels like a bit of a challenge.
Yes. So my advice on that would be create a killer presentation design concepts using, the techniques that we studied in, I think that was day 2 of school. Wow. So create a really winning deck to present. Teacher's Lounge, things like that. You could come to the PTO meeting and you can show it on the big screen, whatever, and really sell it. Because I think that tool, that is a selling tool. Yeah. That's really what that is. When I'm presenting to clients, my goal is that they approve every single thing on those pages and we are done with that room and we move on. Yep. So, kind of same thing when you're trying to get funding or doing, fundraisers, things like that, is sell it. Just come on, and you speak incredibly articulately. So put together a beautiful presentation, convince them that they can't not do this, that they're like, of course we want this. Of course we want our teachers to have a reset. Of course we want them to feel, be more energized. And of course we want them to be able to, enjoy their surroundings, especially when they're not in their classrooms. So I think it's an easy sell. Yeah. It's just doing the work to put those visuals out there, because people don't just like, oh yeah, okay, yeah, but the break room, whatever, it should be nicer. I need the pictures. And they just think like, what if we just paint? Yeah, exactly. It's like, and you need the funds. Yeah. The other thing is, what about like RFPs, like or grant writing? Because these are entities that probably are doing some, requests. Was RFP request for proposal? Something like that. Something like, I was like, what is that again? I was trying to remember too. It's whatever. Something along those lines. RFP. Yes, I think so. So maybe see if there's some, or, I'm sure they're all over the place, but anyone, anyone that says space or room or design or furniture. Absolutely. I mean, I think you can use those search terms. Totally. And even if it's kind of loosely based on what you want, because they might not know what they need. Yep. They likely don't. Because I'll tell them what they need. Yeah, exactly. Yes. We'll tell them what they need. Yeah, and then they can, give me the money. That's right. You're absolutely right. Grants are something that I've thought about. I haven't delved into that yet, but grant writing has incredible potential. Yeah, it doesn't sound real sexy, but if it ends up in like you being able to create beautiful spaces and people being able to enjoy them in a way they never have before. Absolutely. Yeah, do the writing. For sure. I'll do it. All right. Well, thanks so much for coming back. It was so great to see you. And so good to be here. Please be in touch. I want to hear how it's going. Oh, I can't not be in touch. I mean, I not only follow your Instagram posts every day, but you're such
an invaluable resource, and you've made yourself so available to all of us. I do think, we were the first class, the first design
school.
You'll
always be my first.
I hope so. I hope we hold a special place. Now that you're starting a second group tomorrow, I'm feeling a little jealous. Like, are we going to take the back seat? But
I won't forget about you.
Good, because we're going to keep bugging you.
I know.
I'm going to
count on it.
Good. Well, I look forward to it too. So thanks again for having me. It's been fun to reconnect and get to chat.
Thanks, Kim. I could go on and on and on about the details that are necessary to think about when designing your bathroom. What is more important to me is to acknowledge that this is the place where you look at yourself, where you spend time studying yourself. This is for maybe women more than men, but we are putting our makeup on, we're doing our hair, we're having this time and attention with ourselves. And it needs to be a place that makes us feel positive and relaxed and not judgmental. So while, yes, we want to have a beautiful tile and we want to have pretty towels and all the little details that are good for function and as well as aesthetics, it really just needs to be a place that we feel good in.